Yugi Bros!
So let's talk Banlist, guys. Does Speed Duels need a ban list? Now, my reaction to this is no, but I understand people's arguments sometimes, so I figure let's go into a discussion. Does Speed Duels need a ban list? Well, in the Speed documents, it actually states that there is no current Forbidden Limited list for Speed Duels, meaning that there could be in the future, and there probably will be at some point. But in my personal opinion, I feel the game has done a fantastic job of fixing itself in the sense of, like, if something in one format is really good, they don't technically power creep themselves so much as they just introduce something else that arguably becomes better. So we had Destiny Draw in the beginning, which was a very good generic skill that, let you get anything if your life points were under 2,000, being trumped by Viral Infection for a while that kind of just milled out the opponent's specific cards. But, the big one was It's My Lucky Day. That comes into the picture, and all of a sudden everyone is playing It's My Lucky Day and everything with Dice Foon to try to get like a Twin Twister-esque effect on your opponent. And now we have Hidden Parasite, which is kind of the big one now, and you see It's My Lucky Day more in like the side decks of something like that, where you'll side into a bunch of back row hate, so you side in It's My Lucky Day, but otherwise we're going to play Hidden Parasite to dark hole the board twice, arguably, and then do half damage for this return. But even I don't think that's out of the realm of... I don't think it's broken by any means. I understand it pops the board, but you can play around it by simply playing something in defense mode face down. It's not going to get popped by it, and you take half battle damage, so if you're still set up... as long as you don't overextend, it allows things like the Command Knight lock and the Gentlemander lock to be in this game and not be OP, because you have the means to getting rid of that. So I actually think it was healthy because it introduced a lot more and can introduce a lot more type of combos in the future, where even if you build an interesting board like that, it can be easily destroyed. So in my personal opinion, stuff like that, where everyone will argue that, Hidden Parasite is running the game, or It's My Lucky Day runs the game or something. No, I actually feel like those are perfectly well balanced. I don't think those are insane. I think Dragon Caller was the earliest, arguably ridiculous skill, but that was when we had a card pool of like 60-some cards, and we couldn't really go anywhere from there. So, summoning 2 Blue Eyes for free because you got the flute with the Lord of D or vice versa was kind of ridiculous. But they've since, like, trumped themselves into what I don't think is a complete power creep. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh's known for power creeping, but like, at least with Speed Duels, like, you can still play Dragon Caller. It's still a good skill for a Dragon deck specifically. You can still play It's My Lucky Day to blow up the back row. You can still play Viral Infection to a much lesser extent, of course, but it's good for like specific formats where, like, against Relinquish, for example, you can hit out their spells with Viral Infection early game. So it's definitely not like these cards become irrelevant at all. I think it's just we're at a point in time where because we're Yu-Gi-Oh players and because we're used to ban lists with regular Yu-Gi-Oh, everyone instantly bats an eye to say that something is more broken than it should be, and instead of trying to adapt and figure out how to deal with it, they instantly call for a ban list. So I understand where people are coming from, but I definitely don't think we need a ban list. But to put into perspective all the cards in this game currently, we're going to go on Dueling Book here. We're going to look through the search history of every card in Speed Duels currently, and we'll just go down a gentle... We'll talk about the card and see if it needs to actually just get hit at all, just to get a little bit more perspective on everything that exists currently in the game. So going through, I'm going to go page by page. I'm not going to hit on every single card, but on each page I will make notes of things that people have either argued about or complained about in the past, even if it is minute, just to give a general broad expansion on the whole thing. So starting with page 1 here, the only thing that was ever deemed busted on this was Amazoness Village. Swordswoman and Sage are both ridiculously amazing cards. The field spell was kind of insane. If you destroyed one of your Amazons, you got to summon another Amazon from the deck once per turn. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't think that's out of the realm of broken, and let's be fair, no one's really playing that anymore. Even in the tribal decks, you're seeing more Harpy's Hunting Ground than anything else with Wild Tornado. So moving on to page 2, Blade Knight and Blastsphere at the bottom there are the only two I could see being argued with Blade Knight just because he becomes 2,000 when you have one or less cards in your hand. That's relatively easy to do. And Blast Sphere because in 4,000 life point Yu-Gi-Oh! You can do a crap ton of damage with it. I don't think either of these are ridiculous. I think Blade's probably the best of the two. And the only reason I could see him in the future be OP is if we continue to get Insane Warrior support. Page 3, Blue Eyes White Dragon's not an issue. So let's move on to page 4. Again, with Blade Control, Command Knight would be the only thing here. I think that would be an arguable thing because you can command lock, but I don't think that's dumb, and I actually think that's what holds the deck. That's the glue of the deck that holds it together. As far as page 5 goes, I would just maybe make a note of Dice Foon, but that's only because of it's my lucky day. Otherwise, I think the card's perfectly justified. And if you were to ban something along that line, you'd ban the skill, obviously, before you'd ban Dice Foon. But I don't think it needs to be banned at all. I don't even think it needs to be touched. As far as this page goes, the only thing that, that comes up is Eradicating Aerosol, and that wouldn't be the card to get hit. The skill would get hit if either of them did. But again, I think it's perfectly fine for the reasons I explained earlier. Gentlemander Lock is the only thing on this page I can see, but we have Hidden Parasite to justify that. So again, I see no problems. Page 8, in my opinion, nothing. It's perfectly fine and balanced. All the Gravekeepers. Page 9, Heatwave might eventually become a problem, but I don't think it's a problem for the game currently right now. As far as page 10 goes, perfectly fine, justified. I don't see anything that's out of order with this. Page 11, same thing. I don't think anything here is insane. I think Flip Effect Monsters Mania Bug's perfectly good. Night Beam might get insane, but I think it's fine where we're at. Relinquish has been balanced by the other destruction cards that now exist in the game, Order to Charge, and Friends, so I don't think that's a problem. Nothing on this one either. Same with this one. Nothing on this one either. Going on to 16, no, perfectly justified. Everything seems good. Page 17, still everything's good. I think we've come to the end here. And page 18, no, perfectly balanced. I got no problems with everything else. Zombina is the only thing I'd argue will be good for a very long time, but I don't think anyone will ever argue that should get banned. I think if anything, that actually helps out a lot with the skill Hidden Parasite. As long as Zombina exists in the game, you always have a way to recover from your opponent flipping that skill and then activating their aerosol. So, guys, what do you think? Other than the things I've already mentioned, do you think anything needs to get hit? Do you think we're in a perfectly stable format? I certainly do. I don't think they'll need to do anything into this game for a while. Even skills, I understand there are favorable skills over other skills, but I don't think any of them are so out of line that it just runs the game. There's always going to be a meta, so you're always gonna have a meta. So you can't complain about there being a specific few skills that are the meta skills, unless they literally run the format to where nothing else is competitive. But right now we're in a really good format where even though I feel like there's 2 or 3 decks that kind of rule the entire game, everything can compete if built correctly and played correctly. So I've got no problems with this game right now. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe always. Click that notification bell for all of our latest updates. And I'm out tonight, guys. All right,